But I read about this. I want to mention this. I read about in the Financial Review. It's a novel concept. Investing in a fund and you generate potential returns through collector cars and motorbikes. It exists. It's called the Chrome Temple. I'll talk to the chief executive in a moment. I'm not recommending it. I'm not a financial advisor. You do your own homework when it comes to your own dollars, but I'm interested by the concept. Collectors' cars have gone up in value significantly. If you've got a collector car, you've got a car you just keep for the investment, or a motorbike. 133693. Chief Executive of Chrome Temple, Lex Pedersen. Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Thanks for talking. How does it work? Do I sort of get the wheel of a Ferrari or something, do I?
Well, you can look at it that way in fractionalised, but we have roughly half of our investors invest by their self-managed super, the other half privately, but we're a private equity style unit trust. So whether you look at you have ownership over the whole fleet or a small part of a specific vehicle, it's an interesting way to look at it. But we have 18 vehicles in our fleet presently across half a dozen different marques. And we're facing that capital uplift like any other kind of private equity style, which just happens to be a passion asset, an alternative asset, as you're probably hearing a lot of.
Asset. 18 in the fleet, so what's the fleet worth?
Around $10 million.
All right. And what do I do if I invest? Do I sort of buy shares in that $10 million fleet, do I?
Correct. Yeah, it's a financial product. We have a trustee and a custodian, and we're governed by a board and an investment committee. So it's not just me running out there filling a garage full of stuff, that I have to be passionate about. It's a professional approach to what has traditionally been a hobby investment class, Neil. So taking a data-led, full-time approach, facing vehicles that there's imbalance between supply and demand, and an imbalance that's going to continue to come to us into the future as European emissions constrict the ability to produce cars that we've been so passionate about for so long with internal combustion. And this next, what I call the next automotive revolution, is well underway with hybridisation, electrification, and not too far down the track, autonomous vehicles. And that desire to own, to drive, or just to own as a collective piece, analog driving vehicles. I understand you're a car guy, Neil, and I'm probably preaching to the choir there, but that's really the thesis of our focus.
But you do trade the assets. You'll sell the cars?
Absolutely, yeah. We have to take an unemotional position on them. If we get the right return, it's sold, which is, I suppose, that professionalising a hobby investment class. As collectors in the past, some people have seen great upside, but they'll never sell it due to that emotional connection or the aspiration to retain it. We're viewing these, whilst they are something we're passionate about, they're an investment vehicle.
So what do you do? Do you just store them somewhere, or what happens to the cars that you buy?
Well, that's right. But we're in the temple, so to speak. So there is an obligation of ownership. So we do acquire them, and what is essential to ensure you preserve the upside trajectory, you need to maintain them, be it servicing, keeping them moved and lubricated to ensure that their ongoing value is preserved. So we do have that. It provides, I suppose, a theatre for our investors to get together and to enjoy these assets as well.
So you sort of exercise them regularly, do you?
Well, they need to be. As a car guy, you'll appreciate that they don't like to sit. The lubrication needs to move, the rubber in some of the seals and suspension needs to keep moving. So that does present as an opportunity to get together in our community, which is very important for us. Unfortunately, we don't get to belt around them ourselves. We're tightly governed in that sense, but we do have a professional driver exercising, to use the word you just used there, and we might jump in the hot seat with the investors and might get to experience, hear, smell, experience vehicles that personally might not have access to.
Okay, so you've got the investment, you're not allowed to drive it, but you get a hot lap in it, perhaps.
Well, yeah, so to speak, that's right. So when they are exercised, that presents an opportunity.
Give me an example of a good of something that's appreciated well.
Well, in our fleet, every vehicle that I acquire has to put together an investment case our investment committee, and we'll look at factors of where it started out new, what was its depreciation journey, where are we acquiring it, and where we want to divest it. But, doubling of your money in some of these vehicles over a relatively short hold is not out of the question. If you buy well through our deep network of access to vehicles, and then retail well when the time's right and there's demand is strong, it's not out of the question to double your money if you do well on that equation.
You're talking about $1 million vehicles or vehicles approaching $1 million. You're talking about some, these days, cheap real estate. So you're sort of competing with real estate for, if you've got a super fund investing and they can spend $1 million on a car or $1 million on a flat or something, that's the sort of competition you've got.
Well, that's right. That's right now.
Okay. And that's, where you're obviously fond of cars. Where did this idea come from?
Well, it has been whether an affliction or a blessing since a young guy. And I think I often talk that the love of the automobile is largely intrinsic, particularly to males and to a lot of females. But my professional journey exposed me to private equity, venture capital, and ultimately a business that listed, and it was a volatile journey of ups and downs of uncorrelated influence. And I amassed a modest collection of cars, and it was rock solid, fully insured assets. I'm a big believer in going with what you know, and I knew cars. And when I looked at my opposing investment strategy, cars always presented as something that's sound, a great store of wealth, the opportunity to create wealth as well, but a great store of wealth. And I think as European emissions constricted, and as you see in the crest of the journey towards 2530 and 2035, the end of the internal combustion engine, the opportunity became clear in simple supply and demand metric. The supply was finite and diminishing, if you will, and yet demand was expanding, particularly as the next generation of emerging wealth coming to their peak earnings, is that their aspiration and desire for these art pieces, if you will, I refer to us as an automotive art fund, will ever grow. And that gave me confidence that there's a strong opportunity there, and thankfully many see the merit in it and have joined our movement. And I think that the lion's share of the upside is still ahead. That automotive revolution forges on.
You did start a company called Surf Stitch, which ended in administration, ended badly. Why put your toe in the water again?
Well, I mean, that was a wild journey, and I learned so much from that. And again, I think a lot of the volatility of that investment, it was a strong motivator to move into something here where there's a tangible asset, fully insured, non-volatile, uncorrelated to a lot of the noise and macroeconomics of what's happening elsewhere. So it was a safe haven, I suppose. Okay. And all those other factors I mentioned, it stacked up as valid. I tested that water. I dipped that toe with my self-made super, and my wife was gracious enough to trust me. And I spent a couple of years validating the process, the compliance, the insurance, to prove that there is a sound opportunity there, and that went swimmingly. And off we went, and we just had our second birthday.
Okay, look, thanks for talking to us. Is there any value in a 2007 TT Roadster that I love?
Well, it depends how you define value, Neil. It's the emotional connection that's the most important.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's worth $15,000. I don't think you'll be investing in that. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil.
Lex Pedersen, Chief Executive of Chrome Temple. I couldn't see the old TT sitting in his... He's got this warehouse with all the cars covered up, and anyway, as I said, I'm not offering investment advice for a moment. Chrome Temple is his company, but it's an interesting thought. It's intriguing.